Good evening. It is September 4th, 2012. This is Jason Horak, and we're taking a look at the 1987 Dodge Daytona electric vehicle. Specifically, what we're looking at right now is the back of the car, where the rear seats would be, and the rear hatch. So the rear seats have been pulled, and we've been working on the area underneath those seats where the original gas tank used to be. So that space has been unused, more or less, to this point, and we're trying to make a battery box, or another storage box anyway, kind of in that location. So this would be a mid battery box. The one we can see covered with all the cables there is the rear battery box. All of those cables have been pulled. Those are the ones that go up to the front engine compartment, and that's the connect the rear battery box to the front battery box, as well as the other wire there is actually the charger wire that goes to the pack positive and pack negative connections on the high voltage wiring shelf up front. Then of course we have the outlet, the NEMA 14-50, just regular standard outlet like you'd have for a dryer electric stove. That is wired to the inlet at the regular gas filler spot, like where you put in your gas normally, under the gas cap. So the idea being that you plug that in, and that's where the charger plugs into this outlet. So the goal is to put pretty much all of that wiring down in this new mid battery box, and as you can see, I've cut a rather large hole in the middle, right behind the back seats. So the back seats would kind of be right there where you see the indentations, and then there's this hole that currently looks at the ground. And I cut that hole last summer, right before last year's convention. My intention was to do this box then, but I just ran out of time and ended up just slapping a piece of plywood and some blue foam insulation on top of the hole and calling it good enough for the convention last year. The car has been driven all year just like that, all through the winter and everything. So it was a little breezy in the back seats, but you know, we got the job done and it was alright. So anyway, so what we've been working on is I'm going to show you underneath, and try not to make everybody hurl with my camera work, but so we're going in underneath, and I've got some lights down here to try to show it. It's about 11 at night, so things are a little dark, but anyway. So what we're seeing here is this is the footwell for the rear seat, and then you can see there's a kind of a channel in the middle where the old exhaust system used to go up. That's where all my cables go up from the back of the car to the front engine compartment now. And so what we're trying to do is, as you can see, there's kind of a space right here in between, you know, roughly the bottom of the footwell and the bottom of the rear seats. Also, kind of going back up to where you can see the hole there, this is a lot higher up in here, and that's where the just the shape of the gas tank kind of went up into that little higher back there, and that's where the cables came down for the fuel gauge and that kind of thing, through a hole kind of in the center of this bigger hole that I've created. So anyway, so this space is really, really difficult to form a box around. What we're going to do is build a box that goes just a little bit below this point and goes around, right along here, and it's about the same height as the axle. It'll be a little higher than the axle, but due to the location here, it shouldn't hit on anything. You know, we're kind of in the center of the car, and we can be about as low as we can. Up at the front, you can see that these supports hang down. Yeah, I'm not sure how well the camera's going to make this out, but you can see that this is where the bottom of the wheel or footwell is, and then across here is where these supports are. So that's kind of like the low point, and so I'll be higher than that just in this rear section for the new box. So anyway, it shouldn't be too bad, and what that's going to give us is a space that we can fit hopefully 4 of the China Aviation Lithium Battery Company 180 amp hour cells, and that'll get me up to a total of 60 in the car. We've added 3 more up front in the larger front battery box, and now we'll have the 4 back here in this little middle box. And the way that they'll set in here is they'll actually be across, just like this way, laying flat, with their terminals facing back toward the back of the car, and be accessible through this hole, so I can get at them and put the terminals on and measure them or whatever I need to do. And they're going to be completely surrounded by blue foam insulation, so they'll be insulated as well as cushioned, and they won't touch any metal, etc., etc. So anyway, I just kind of wanted to try to get a shot of this before we get the box in here. It was just quite a project, because I don't know if you can really tell again from the camera, but the curvature of the bottom of these seats, it goes down about 2 inches from the top, and then over, and then on this side it goes up really far. And so to make a box that was shaped on the top of it, or actually in this case the sides of the box, to the contour of the bottom of the car, was extremely hard. I had my friend Devin, who again I hired to help me out with some of this more demanding stuff and crawling under the car a lot. He's been a lot of help, and he just spent a lot of time taking a piece of foam and measuring it, putting it up in here. Oh, it's rubbing over here, cutting, measuring again, rinse and repeat, shaving off a little bit here, a little bit there, until he finally got the contour so it matches the bottom of the car. So anyway, I guess I'll show you that box now. And but I just wanted to mention real quick. So you see there's a bolt hanging down right here. So that's the front mounting of the box will be these 2 bolts there and there. We could do a 3rd bolt in the center, but it really isn't necessary. This box is holding a total of 4 batteries, which is 12.5 pounds apiece. That's what, 48 pounds rather. Plus some hardware, and then the weight of the box itself, it's not really that much. So that's the front mounting point, is those 2 bolts. And then in the back, again, it's probably hard to make out, but we had to find a place to tie in. So I put bolts there and over there. You can kind of see the little silver end sticking out. So it's drilled right through the main frame beam back here, which kind of supports the entire car. And that is extremely sturdy. You could probably jack the car up with this battery box now, if you really wanted to. It's just extremely strong. That red cable that we're seeing there, that's the one that goes up to the fuel filler port on the side, and then it'll go up, kind of wrap around in this little channel that happens to be cut within that that main support beam, and then that'll go into the actual inside of the box. So that was just kind of a nice way of routing it, where it's just hanging there on zip ties and it won't rub on anything, and then that'll be going directly into into the battery box, where it's out of the weather and so forth, for the NEMA 14-50 outlet. So anyway, let's go take a look at that battery box and see what we came up with. Alright, what we're looking at here is the new mid battery box. My friend Devin and I, it took us about 4 days to make this box. It's just, there's a lot of angles and a lot of, it's just very tricky to build this underneath the car, again, without a lift or anything. And so this is kind of the profile view from the side, and so it's not very deep. And this front piece right here is actually the exact height. It's a little bit taller actually than those footwells in the vehicle. So there's some space that will go between the front of that and the back of the footwell, just to make room for, there's actually a brake line that goes across there, and so you can get in there and service that should you need to, and so it doesn't butt right up against them, which made the box a little shorter, but it really doesn't matter for the configuration that we're going to use this. So anyway, the box is pretty basic as far as the construction. It's the same as all my other boxes in that it's made out of this angle aluminum, which is bolted together, and like on the corners on the bottom, the main structure is a piece of angle aluminum here, one that goes up and down here, and one that goes across. And so those three bolted together make it just extremely solid, just rock solid box. So anyway, as far as mounting points in the car, it's going to be pretty straightforward. As I kind of showed you in the car itself, we've got these hole there and a hole here that go to those bolts in right up in the front of the footwell, or underneath the seats. And then in the back, this beam that goes across here is where those bolts will go into that main support beam in the back. So it really should stay in there very securely and hold a lot more weight than the poultry 4 batteries that we're going to be putting in there. But as you can see, also there's a hole in front here, and this is where the cables are going to go through down the middle of that channel onto the car. So the cables will come down from the top through that big hole, kind of right here in the back there, and then they'll kind of go out right there. So those 3 cables, which are encased in that Liquid-Tight plastic casing around the cables, are the positive and negative of the pack coming from the back and now mid battery box. And then the other cable is a positive, negative, and ground that's actually it's just positive, negative, that goes from the charger up to the main leads on the battery pack, the positive and negative up there. So it's the 3 cables, they should fit in here very nicely, and as you'll see in a little bit, after I get the foam in here, they should be just a thing of beauty. So anyway, that's the main structure of the box, and again, it's extremely strong, and it does fit in there very nicely. And you'll see that with the evil contours of the bottom of the car, rather than trying to cut the metal to fit those contours, I just made the basic side piece that is just as high as the bottom of where those seats kind of curve down and they touch the top of this. So there's a little bit of space here and a lot of space back here, just as it kind of curves up. And so we're going to be filling that in with the foam. So let me go ahead and show you what it looks like with the blue foam insulation installed. Alrighty then, so this is the finished battery box, complete with blue foam insulation, and this is kind of the profile view, just like you'd see it in the car from the driver's side. So at the front there, that's where the back of the footwell for the rear seats, and the rear seats would be right above us, and you can kind of see the contour of the rear seat, how it goes down right there, and it's a little bit up in the front, and then it goes up and up and up in the back, up into the wheel well. So anyway, this is the box, and as you can see, we have our 4 CALB 180 SE cells in here, and so they sit in there very nicely, like snug as a bug in a rug, and there you go. So what we've done is covered the blue foam insulation on the sides with some of that nice Gorilla Tape paint it black, it'll disappear. I'll put some black Gorilla Tape on it and it'll disappear too. And this will not only help the foam hold up a little bit better, because this will be exposed to the outside, but when we go ahead and caulk and fill in the gap between this and the car, which isn't much, but it's a little bit, then this will help just hold up to the caulk and stuff, so it won't eat the foam. So anyway, that's the battery box, and so as you can see, we've got a hole right here that I've encased in. So it's the a layer of the blue foam insulation, which is again about an inch thick, or actually an inch and a half, and then I cut out this hole. It's just higher than the actual batteries, and that will be big enough for all three of those cables to come through nicely and be just kind of resting on the foam wrapped in Gorilla Tape. So I think those cables will be well treated, and I may fill in around them maybe with some blown, like spray can foam or something, just to make sure that there's no contaminants getting in. So the batteries are very well cushioned on the bottom and on the sides, and then all I got to do is put in a piece of the blue foam insulation on the top, which fits in here rather nicely, and completely encases those batteries on all sides with foam. The two in the middle are going to have kind of a channel right through here through the foam where the those cables go, but that'll just kind of give it a little bit of protection on the top. It's going to make sure these batteries aren't going to move at all without having to be strapped down or restrained in any other way, because the bottom of the seats will be pushing right on that foam and squashing those batteries in there, so they're not going anywhere. So you'll be able to access them from the top in the hole that's right about this in this section. You'll be able to reach down in and get at each of the terminals, and so yeah, I think that'll work out quite well, and it should be good. So in the rest of the space back here, for right now, it's just going to have those cables kind of coiled up, the extra cable, for the moment, and until I find a better thing to do with this space. But I'd like to put the charger back in here, but then I've got to worry about having it mounted high enough that it has airflow underneath, and I don't want it to come in contact with any of the terminals of the batteries, so it just becomes kind of a challenge to mount it vertically. So for right now, for this year's convention, since it is, today is September 4th, which means the convention's in about 20 days, I want to make sure that we're ready to go for that. And so this will be mounted in the car probably tomorrow, and we'll get these batteries wired up and those cables run, and we'll kind of be able to put things back together for the first time in a month. The rear seat will go back in, the charger can go back in, and all that good stuff. So anyway, just a quick note while I'm rambling on here. This is the front battery box, which has recently been completed with the additional space right up in this section. There was a cutout before, and so now there's going to be 3 more batteries up here, 1 going that way and 2 this way. And so between the 3 batteries up front, so making this a total of a 26 battery pack in this front battery box, and then a 4 battery pack in the middle battery box, and 30 in the rear. If I did my math right, that should come out to 60 batteries, which is all of the CALBs that I bought last year, and we're hopefully going to shoot for that 125 mile or 127 mile Cape Girardeau Enduro this year at the convention. Even if they don't hold it due to time constraints, I'm going to be there a couple extra days, so I'll be driving it myself just kind of as a personal challenge to see if I can do it. So that should be fun, and I'm kind of looking forward to the convention. So anyway, once my clutch comes in, I'll be able to get these the front battery box back in, and with the rear battery box done, we're really ready to go. So, or should be ready to go anyway. And yeah, so that's all there is to it. Just a final, completely unrelated note. I'm filming in the basement tonight because it's been pouring rain all day, and so I got a little computer station set up here to do programming on, which is my primary profession. And this little blue bike here is it's an e-scooter. This is something that my mom bought at a yard sale for, I think, $75, and it had 2 dead lead-acid batteries in it, and so I bought 2 new ones online for $75, and so for a total of $150, I have a little electric scooter. So that's kind of neat, and it actually zips right along, top speed of something like 15 miles an hour, but you can go 30 miles on a charge with just 2 little batteries, so that's kind of neat that I have a alternative means of transportation should this whole electric car thing not work out so well. So anyway, just wanted to point that out while I was down here. So have a wonderful evening, and I'll catch up with you all later. Thank you.